Thomas and the Big Freeze. It was winter on the island of Sodor, and Thomas and James were both struggling to cope with the winter conditions. But they knew they had to go to work and do their jobs whatever the weather, come rain or shine, snow or sleet, and they couldn't be cross. The Fat Controller had come to Tidmouth Sheds. He had important news for Thomas and James. The villagers at Knapford Station in Knapford Village need an important feast delivered to them. I'm relying on you, Thomas and James, to tailor it to them from Great Waterton, and you must wear your snowplows. Thomas remembered his last experience with his snowplow, and he knew to wear it this time. But James was being arrogant. I'm too useful to wear a snowplow, he puffed conceitedly. Ha! I don't need a snowplow. I'm more safe than you, he said. I can go just as well as good without one. I'll show you, puffed James. Suit yourself, puffed Thomas, but I've learned my lesson. I know how important it is to wear snowplows, and even though I don't like it, I shall not complain, and I shall not go without one. You're just a scaredy engine, wheezed James. I can rush in any weather. Finally, Thomas and James arrived at Great Waterton to collect their trains due for Knapford Village. James was still boasting. Ha, Thomas! Let's have a race to see who can reach Knapford Village before the other. Whoever wins is the most reliable engine, said James. And of course, I'll win. I'm red as a rocket and twice as grand. I'm not going to get involved in your silly games, wheezed Thomas. I have a job to do and I must complete it. I am more mature than you are, James. A mature engine doesn't brag, said James. So you're proud of knowing you're immature, teased Thomas cheekily. James didn't like that. Ha! wheezed James. I'll see you at Knapford then, I guess. But you don't have your snowplow, whistled Thomas. Who needs snowplows, said James. I'll do just as well without one. The snow's not thick. He wheezed, and he thundered away. Bust my buffers, said Thomas. That's the last time I'll ever help him. James steamed conceitedly up the hill, not worried about a thing. He was very carefree. I will work happily in the snow. I'm going to work safely, said Thomas. I can't believe James. But as Thomas made his way along the highway line, he found some trouble. He ground to a halt. Bust my buffers, cried Thomas. What's happened? The driver explained. Your firebox is too cold. Cinders and ashes, said Thomas. James was having a splendid journey. He was thundering along by South Hampstead Hollow. He was having the grandest time of all. Brightest and best, steamed James. As he came into view, he steamed gently toward Knapford Station. But the passengers didn't think it was gently. James biffed his coaches hard, and he stopped excitedly. Ha! Where's Thomas? Slow coach? He's yet to arrive, said the Fat Controller. You must collect him, James, and bring him back. It will snow soon. Oh, no, said James. James was worried for his friend. I must collect my friend Thomas right away, he said. James was uncoupled from his coaches, and he huffed quickly away. This seemed like an emergency. I must collect Thomas right away. No delay, sir. The Fat Controller was pleased to have James. James thundered along the Sodor suspension bridge. Must find Thomas. I do hope my friend's all right. James saw Edward. I don't know where to find Thomas, he said. Maybe, chuffed Edward, you shall look in the places where Thomas went, said Edward. That's a sure way to find him. Thank you, Edward, wheezed James. You are a very resourceful engine. and he huffed away to go collect his friend. Thomas was cross. That's the last time I'll ever worry about someone. Now I've gotten myself into trouble. Worrying about that James, I'm sure he's just fine. Now I'm stuck here. I'm thinking of ways to get the firebox to heat itself up again, said the driver. James came into view. There's Thomas, he said. Thomas, whistled James. I'm here to help you. What do you want? Whistled Thomas. The Fat Controller told me to look for you, and Edward gave me some friendly advice. I'm here to help you. Please, whatever I can do, said James. I'm here to help. I'm sorry I was so conceited. Thomas was pleased. So James took Thomas to the steamworks where Thomas's fire was lit up again. Thank you, James. You've given me a roaring fire at last, and I'm sorry I was so arrogant. It's all right, said James. We all get a little cocky and arrogant sometimes, but it's important when we're still really useful. The two friends heartily agreed. Let's go back to work, whistled Thomas. So, Thomas and James were now thundering back along the line together. And James puffed Thomas happily back to Tidmouth's sheds whence they'd made their deliveries. The other engines were very surprised to see Thomas and James working together, and once all were back on track again, the snow had cleared up some days later. Everyone was thundering along the line with their trains once more. Thomas and James came to see each other. Well done, James, said Thomas. Well done, Thomas, whistled James. We are great when we work together. Diesel came up behind them to join them heartily. Said Diesel. What's so special about working together? He said as Thomas and James looked upon the horizon. I'm into mischief and being malicious, said Diesel. Indeed, agreed Sir Loam Hat. Maliciousness is key. But nobody knew what Sir Loam was planning. He's a strange, suspicious figure, isn't he? I like working with my friend James, said Thomas, and I like working with my friend Thomas, they said, looking into the sunset. And they both enjoy each other's company, as good friends often do.